same source. And I'm the initiator and head of the Mare Nostrum.
Can't hear you.
Okay. I had the administrator and head of the Mare Nostrum project. The problem that the project addresses was highlighted by the video clip that you, Davide, put, Mr. was it Marco Premo, who cited the Barcelona protocol for the integrated coastal zone management. Now, the Mediterranean Sea is the most highly protected sea in the world in terms of the legal aspects. And above the legal aspects, because it has its own international treaty, valid in international law. Apart from that, every country, or perhaps almost every country, has its own national laws and plans, and so on. And yet the situation isn't so good, and this is why BNCI has been financing so many projects in the Mediterranean. So this particular project is rare in two ways. First, we focus on the legal and the institutional aspects, the laws and regulations, the statutory plans, the property ownership, the fiscal aspects, fiscal meaning taxation aspects. And secondly, we focus on land. Some of the projects do, but we focus almost entirely on land rather than water. So that's a special aspect of our project. This is our website. We are in the last several months, the final several months of our 3-year project as a strategic MPI project. These are our partners. Now, we have used an instrument called associate partners in order to enrich our set of partners. The official partners are Spain in terms of country, Spain, Greece, Israel, Malta, and Jordan as a full partner, but mostly as a bridge to the North African countries. For our project, Jordan, because we're dealing with a coastline, the fact that Jordan is not on the Mediterranean is a factor, and we therefore have our Jordanese partners as the bridge to North Africa. And then we have second circle Mediterranean countries, which we don't pay none of the financing goes there, only to the associate professors, mostly whom we've collated to come to our meetings and to write us free reports. Turkey, France, Italy, Portugal, the little edge of it in the southeast, Slovenia, and the 4 North African countries in this special way. And the third circle countries, Germany, Netherlands, and Denmark, other parts of the EU, and USA and Australia, all governed by associates free of charge, who come for the academic prestige that we hold. So the partners numbered 11, 5 countries, 4 local and regional governments, 3 universities, 1 port research institute, 3 NGOs, and 2 small private consultancies. We, on purpose, do not have any formal national partners, national level partner, no ministries. Now, in this presentation, we were asked to do something that is not usual in the flow of the project. That is to sieve out, to take out those aspects that are either agreements on the local or national level, or cross-national aspects that generates agreements. So this is not the entire project, but this particular aspect for this project, and we must thank the NPI for making us pull out these aspects. So I'm going to speak about 9 of them. Our toolbox of legal institutional instruments, the North-South Mediterranean exchange, cross-border initiatives in high-conflict zones, networking of ICZM-oriented NGOs, our network of networks, platform for model legislation for city-port relations on the land regulation aspects, calibration of coastline delineation among countries, it ain't the same, scientific model for determining setback lines, model observatories, first of its kind, which integrates environmental and legal information, and cross-national platform of enforcement officers. So the first one, a main product of our project is a toolbox of legal and regulatory and fiscal instruments, all in bottom-up in the sense that we don't preach to the national level. All the national levels are involved in reporting to the UN about the treaty. We want to see what happens on the municipal and sub-municipal levels. So we deal with a lot of, we have a lot of tools in along the set of about 10 points or more. But among those, we've also instituted some agreements. More we hope will be coming because there's also a PPGAS, a public participatory exercise that each of the partners has held with the municipal, relevant municipality. Then Malta has already signed a community charter among citizens and municipalities for a crucial problem in Malta, that is the blocked access to the endless sea of this island. But access to citizens is often blocked. We also have a already signed agreement within intra-municipal among the Haifa authorities who have never really had, and I think that's common for many municipalities, never really had a focused integration of departments within the cities to look at what matters to the coast. Each department has something to do with the coast, many do, so there is a new agreement over there, platform. Now, second point on the international level now, North-South Mediterranean knowledge exchange. Our Jordanese partners are responsible for that. They've brought in representatives of 4 North African countries to Aqaba for a special session where there was a knowledge exchange between some of our European Mediterranean partners and North African partners. And we already have North African reports, first time ever written, about these legal and regulatory aspects of coastline management. Then the cross-border initiatives in high conflict zones. Because of the purpose of the CEC, the cross-border cooperation part of the ENPI, in the initial proposal, we pointed out, or we especially chose 2 conflict areas, high conflict areas, in order to see whether cross-national cooperation can be promoted even in these contexts, assuming that that's the worst case, and if that could work, these could be used perhaps on the lesser conflict areas that do exist gladly along the Mediterranean. So there are 2 cases. We chose a city in Greece right on the Turkish border in the Evos region and the Gulf of Aqaba, Aqaba and Eilat. This is the Evos Delta zone, and it has a very environmentally sensitive Natura 2000 and other protections by the EU with the 2 countries, and the mission of our Alexandroupolis partner, one of our official 11 partners, was to try and generate cross-border cooperation with the Turks on issues of sharing information, for example, on their statutory plans, on land-related projects, perhaps environmental data. Unfortunately, we're sad to report that even though the project is almost at its end, we've succeeded only partially. We could not have a Turkish partner on the other side because, as some of you may know, Turkey cannot participate in these projects as a partner. However, one of our associates is a Turkish professor, a very good one from Istanbul. She brought to Alexandroupolis 5 or 6 academics from Turkey, but not from the other side of the border that was supposed to be the role of Alexandroupolis. To date, they've not been able to create that despite our encouragement. And we understand from the scientists over there that even environmental data is not shared adequately. So for the EU, there's a lot of work to be done over there. We hope that in the next few months, something better might occur. Somewhat more optimistic news on the Aqaba Eilat cross-border initiative. There used to be a lot of cooperation between Aqaba and Eilat, especially on environmental issues and some land-related, environmental issues. Apparently, these have lulled down over the past decade, and our project has been a revival of this face-to-face cooperation, and our Jordanese partners conducted a meeting, and another one was supposed to occur 2 weeks ago, but because of the current tensions in the Middle East, that was postponed. And this is some of the Jordanian and at least 1 or 2 Israeli participants, but there are more Israeli participants from Eilat, and they were discussing how to enhance the cooperation across the border. Mare Nostrum network of NGOs. We decided in the proposal already, what we proposed was to try and put together a network of networks. This is not directly related to the legal institutional aspects, but indirectly, because NGOs are primary drivers, primary monitors of keeping the law. How? Through court action. We see that in many countries, the stimulus of NGOs keeps, it's a watchdog that keeps governments on course through court action and through keeping governments to the rules. So we have made a special effort to create a network of networks, and these are the identified. We identified 40-odd NGOs that focus on coastline issues along the Mediterranean. The pilot stage, we communicated with many of them, not all, and this is the special website for the network of networks, the Mare Nostrum network of networks, and these are already signed in as members of this network, and we hope that more will join in. Believe me, as a professor of planning and law, that NGOs are the most important hidden resource for getting policy together. Port city conflicts. Now, another thing that we discovered in this project is that the legal aspects related to land are a major conflict area between ports and cities. Now, to me, that was not an area I was acquainted with before, but point after point, we saw how this occurs. Now, what are ports doing here? There are also David's presentation. Ports are here because in the various treaties, well, first of all, the Barcelona Protocol and international laws, ports are usually excluded from the land-related, not from the environmental-related regulations. Okay, so it says everything, I mean, you have to do a setback, you have to control development, but ports are excluded. So we said, okay, ports have to survive, ports have to do the economics, ports are very important. But ports are in cities, and the question is how to maximize, to minimize the infringement of the coast, but to maximize the benefits to the cities and the related area. And for that, we are going to address, for the first time ever, the legal land-related aspects of the ports and cities relationship. What we already found after interviewing 6 or 7 ports and cities is that in every country there are special exceptions for ports, but these exceptions are not the same across countries. Each country's legislation is different, and the ports and cities try to survive within them. So in February, we're going to have to launch the world's first ports and cities initiatives to create model legislation. There's no authority to create compulsory legislation, model legislation on port-city relations to be conducted, we hope, with a platform, voluntary platform of ports and cities. The invitation will come from Thessaloniki. It was supposed to occur next week, but because of the Greek crisis, it has been postponed. If it does not occur, then Barcelona is next in line who wants to host it. And then calibration of coastal delineation criteria and methods. We discovered, to our amazement, that the Mediterranean is one sea, but it has different boundaries. It's not really one sea. It's defined differently country to country. And I'm speaking now not about the international waters, but the domestic line differentiating between the sea and land. In each of the countries is defined a bit differently. So this is just an example of Spain. And this has, of course, important implications. First, in those countries that have public land ownership, not all do, but most do, that it means that the demarcation line impacts what is the public land. And those that implement the Barcelona Protocol's notion of a setback, whatever its size, 100 meters under, that's important to ask, where does it start? Well, it starts in different definitions across the countries. So we hope to create a platform, this time it's the conditions of cadastral people across the countries. I've already made this presentation in the European meeting of the cadastral people of the various governments, and apparently there's no European uniformity, but we're trying to do this along the Mediterranean. Not sure we will succeed, but that's the idea. Get the technicians to come together, the technicians and environmentalists to come together and define things. There is a tension, though, in any definition. I mean, perhaps many people here are staunch environmentalists and want an ecosystem-driven line. However, we're dealing with land, property, investments, and for that, predictability and stability are essential. Law has to have some predictability or stability. So trying to balance between the ecosystem approach, which would mean, okay, let's run after each storm. Chase the storm, chase the waves. Or have some kind of degree of stabilization, that's a challenge. And if there's Spaniards here, any Spaniards? Spain? Okay, you will know that last year your law was changed in order to create some kind of balance because your law was chase after the waves as far as they go, and that created thousands of illegal developments. Government was not able to really control that. The law has been put somewhere in the middle, but that's a tension. And from speaking to the Spanish national and regional authorities, they're not aware that other countries may have other solutions, and so this is part of the purpose of the exchange. Scientific model for setback delineation. In this project, we have one environmental engineer as our partners, that's from the university, from Demokritos University in Thessaly, in Kavala, in Greece. And he became aware of the problem of setback lines and developed a scientific technical model, especially geared to cliff areas where the setback lines can sometimes be quite funny. If that were a joke, it's not a joke to the people in the municipalities living there, but you know, where does it go, the setback line? He developed a method. I warn everybody that scientific technical methods do not necessarily get absorbed very easily by public policy. So this will be one more input to create a platform of cadastre people to try and see how they can exchange, first of all, exchange information, see how they're doing and what the impact is on their countries. Model environmental legal observatory. We think that this may be one of the first, perhaps the first in the world, where we try to integrate an observatory that you might know about, that is environmental information, ecosystem information, and so on, with ongoing legal and regulatory information on the same platform and with citizen monitoring input. That innovation is an agreement between the University of Democrates, the same professor of environmental engineering, and the city of Kabbalah, and we try to, it's not that easy to get the legal information, but that's what we're trying to sit with our weights, not my weights, and get them to do that, and it is evolving a bit, but that's the idea, and we hope it will work. And lastly, the big, ugly animal of the Mediterranean coast. Well, let me tell you that there is a very interesting physics innovation in the Mediterranean. The dunes are magnet to illegal development. Somehow, dunes and water are magnets, and there's so much illegal development along the Mediterranean basin. It's a huge issue. I gave this presentation 2 weeks ago, no, not this presentation. I spoke about the products and mentioned the legality in a forum called Wet Coast. Everybody know it? It's supposed to be a research forum. And then the organizer said to me, Rochelle, you're not going to be very popular if you speak about illegal development, which I thought was very funny because we academics are not supposed to. But anyhow, it's a big phenomenon, and I could see from your reaction on your faces that everybody recognizes. This is just a sample. Spain, this is, that hotel is Spain. However, Spain has improved greatly. Greece, well, you could say it has improved. It keeps on having amnesties which make these legal, and how many Greeks are here? Greek? Okay, and you'll know that there's more amnesties currently, and part of it stimulated by the Troika wishing to get fines from the extensive illegal development. Similar pictures can be seen in some parts of Italy. So this is now legal, but this is endless, the summer homes, the kind of phenomenon. This one is in Portugal. It's totally illegal because it's a tiny, it's an island. All of it is public land, Natura 2000, other protections, national, international park, and they've done a few demolitions. Because this is, and by the way, there are hardly any demolitions along the Mediterranean. So if you all feel uneasy that your governments are not demolishing, as all the environmentalists will tell you, that's a fact of life. And lastly, this is also Portugal. I'm sure you